Hello everyone, welcome to Zaref Game Dev. In this video, we are going to create the gameplay scene in which we'll create the scriptable objects for the levels and we'll try to spawn the respective level in the scene. So let's start creating it. So before that, we have created our main menu and we can move to our gameplay scene. So our gameplay scene is currently empty right now. So first we are going to create the UI, which is going to be a simple text. So let's add an image, and this one is going to be for our title image. Position from the left, -80, and let's set it to 1080 by 160, and let's have it to pixel, and let's set the color to black first. So it's going to show up at the top. Now, after having our title, we are going to add two buttons and two texts which are going to show the buttons for going to the main menu and restarting the scene. So let's add our left button first, so which is going to be an image, and we'll call it back, and it's going to be from the left. Let's position it 160 by 160, position it at 80, so it's at the back. Is it positioned correctly? Yeah, it's positioned correctly. And for the sprite, we are going to use our back sprite, and it's going to have a button component attached to it with a color tint of none. And afterwards, we'll duplicate this back component, and this one is going to be for the restart, and it's going to be positioned from the right, and it's not going to have an image, but we'll attach an image to it, so doesn't matter what you use. So this one's going to be for the restart, and it also has a button component attached to it, so we don't need to do much. And after that, we are going to have two texts which are going to show our title for our stage and the level. So let's create our first text, which is going to text mesh pro, and we'll just call it stage. And for its position, it's going to be anchored from the center. Size is going to be 512 by 80, and it's going to be positioned x at the -128 and 32. And let's make it bold, and it's just going to call stage 1, and its size is going to be 80. Color is going to be let's go with the pure white color. Let's go with the 9, whatever what we used, and anchor is going to be the center. Now after we have our stage, we are going to have one more, and it's going to be for our level. So let's call it level, and inside our stage we'll call it level under /1, and instead of +32, it's going to be positioned at -32, and it's aligned pretty much correctly, so should be fine. Now after we have our stage and the level, it looks horrendous. Doesn't matter, we'll fix it afterwards. So it's going to have a image, and this image is going to be for our win image, and it already has an image. Position y is going to be 80, and its color for now, let's set it to red. Similarly, let's set our title color to red. So our image is a little bit darker, I don't know why. Nah, it's not darker, it's just because there's so much white we are seeing it as a bright color. And its width is going to be 1080, and its height, it's going to be, how much height do we need? 1760, so it fits the whole screen. And position is going to be -80, and again it's going to have an image of text position to the center, size of 256, and bold, which is just going to call the win. And that's it for our win image. It's going to be loaded when we win the level, and we are able to restart the level. Now let's attach a game manager, and our game manager is going to use it's going to, well, there's so much background noise, it's better to uh, record at night or maybe around early morning. So the game manager is going to have a game manager script attached to it, which we are going to create it right now. So this is our game manager, and we'll also need a couple more scripts which are going to be for instantiating our stages. So the first one is going to be the mm, level, which is going to be a scriptable object. And on this level, we'll create what is happening. Using this level, we'll create all levels, which is going to be of type dictionary. So we'll use level dictionary. And why did it reload? So these are our two objects, and it also needs a cell script which is going to be attached to all of our game objects, and also a square script. So we have the cell, we have our level, we have our level dictionary. What else should we need? Hmm. The game manager is also going to be a pretty long script. We are going to do it in passes, and that should be it. Now let's create our cell first. So it's going to be an image, and not an image, it's going to be a sprite, and we'll instantiate sprite depending on the level data. So let's start coding our level first, what our level is going to contain. So as we go inside Visual Studio, let's code our level first. So our level is going to be a scriptable object, and it's going to have a create asset menu, and for our create asset menu it needs the file name, and the file name is going to be new level. Let's just call it level, and the menu name is going to be inside level creation, and inside our level creation we'll create a level. So inside our level it's going to have a public string for the level name, then public integer for the row and the column, and a public integer for the win color. And it also needs to store of the data for the cell, so public list, and we'll call it cell data, and the data for the cell will which will create inside our cell, which is going to be a public struct, and we'll call it cell data. And let's use the system.serializable. So it can be serialized, and inside our cell data it's going to have values for, we need to check how many moves does it have, what is its color, so we are going to use an integer, and finally what is its position, so it's going to be a v2 int, and we'll call it grid position. So this is going to be the cell data, and it's going to be type cell data. Now using this levels, we are going to create our level dictionary. So again, it's going to be a scriptable object, and we'll copy the create asset menu, and instead of level, we'll use all levels, and we'll rename it to all levels. So our level dictionary is going to have a couple of data. The first one is going to be our serialized field for storing all our mm, levels, and it's going to be private. We don't need to get it. Will export a function, and we'll call it all levels. So it does not matter what you call, and there's going to be a private dictionary which goes from string to level, and we can call it just levels, and it's going to be a new dictionary. So after creating that dictionary on enable, we'll try to initialize this dictionary. So for each item in our all levels, we'll pass levels for the item dot level name is going to be our item. So if we pass the level name for our levels, we can get the current level. So we'll create a public level, and we'll rename it to get level, and it's going to pass a string of name, and it's just going to check levels dot try get value, and the index we are going to pass is the name, and inside the out we are going to pass the result, and we'll return the result. So when we create the script, it is going to store all of our levels, and we call the get level method. It's going to pull out our current levels. So let's create our first basic level first. So we'll go inside Unity, and inside our prefabs we are going to create a folder for our levels. Now let's first create a simple level first. So as you can see, we have asset menu for level creation, and for this level we are going to call it stage under slash one and under slash one. So as you can see, we have the level name, and it's going to call current stage. So let's see what our level names are going to be. So inside our constants, we have used the current stage, and then we'll index add a level name after the underscore, level number after the underscore, and also the stage number. So current stage is the starting. Afterwards we are going to pass the stage number, and finally the level number, and it's going to be a 3x3 grid. The win color is going to be 0, which is the red color, and here we'll add two elements. So the first, it's going to have one move, and it's going to be positioned at the grid position of 1 and y also 1, And the second one, its color is going to be, let's just use another one, and it's going to be a normal, so it doesn't have any mouse, and its grid position is going to be 2 and 1. So both of these objects are going to be together one another. I mean, they'll be like one is at the center and one is towards the right, and we are able to move our centered object to the right. Now let's create all of the levels. So all levels, and we'll just rename it as levels. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. So before that, we need to attach all of our levels. So let's add our stage one. So now the error is gone, and this is our first level. Now, how we are going to spawn the levels? So we are going to, let's create an empty, and we'll call it cell. This is our default cell, which is going to be spawned at the start. And depending on the cell's condition, on awake it will be empty, and if it has some color which we are going to pass depending on the cell data, it's going to like activate the sprite for that cell. So let's see how it's going to work. So let's create a prefab for that. We'll first create the game object in the scene. So this is our default cell, and it's going to have a sprite renderer component, and inside our resources for the pixel, set the pixels per unit to 1 and mesh type to full rect. So it scales 1 unit in our x coordinate, I mean in our unit system. So on the cell we have a sprite renderer. Let's attach our pixel, and for the color, for now we are going to use the red pixel. We are going to use the gray one, which is the 92. I think light gray should be better. So first it's going to be the light gray color, and its ordering layer is going to be the farthest one, which is going to be at -5, and it's going to have a cell script attached to it. So whenever we instantiate that cell, it's going to instantiate our game object. Now inside our cell, we are going to have two sprites. So let's create our first sprite first, and we'll just call it 1. And similarly, it's going to have uh, we added an image. So for this cell, instead of draw mode to simple, we'll set it to sliced, and we'll use 0.96 by 0.96. Doesn't matter whatever you use, it's going to be similar. Now this is our default cell. Let's set its color to a darker tone of gray for now, so it looks visible. Now let's create a 2D object sprite, and let's just duplicate this cell and attach it to it. Now this is going to be our 1, and similarly it's going to pixel 0.96 by 0.96, but its ordering layer is going to be 1, and the script we are going to use is our square script. And we'll duplicate this one, rename it to 2, and the ordering layer is going to be uh, after the red one, but it's going to be similar. Now let's set its color to red, so it's on top of it. So this is our first two sprites which we are going to spawn. At first both will be false, but if it has some color, it will be like you can see it. So now let's create a 2D sprite, and which is going to be circle, and as you can see its scale is 1 1, and the current ordering layer is 0. We need to set it to be the highest, so let's set its ordering layer to be around 10. And instead of simple, let's set it slice, doesn't matter what it calls. And we are going to change its size to 0.16 by 0.16. So it looks like a circle. And for the position, we are going to set it to negative 0.37 and positive 0.37. So this is going to be our first circle. And after that, let's create a few more circles and we'll position it towards the right. So we should be able to see the number of moves on that circle. So this is our circle 3. Similar, it's going to be at plus 0.4. And finally, our circle 4, which is going to be at plus 0.6. These are just simple prefabs, simple objects. And finally, we'll save this cell as a prefab. Now let's just delete this cell. And we are just going to instantiate the cells inside that directly inside our game manager. So let's start creating our spawning function and getting all our dictionaries and our levels. So let's go inside Visual Studio and let's see where should we start first. So we have our level and level dictionary set up. Now let's begin with the game manager. Or maybe, yeah, let's begin with the game manager. So inside our game manager, the first thing we are going to have is our two functions. So let's delete this. And first we'll create a private static game manager instance. So we can refer to it from anywhere. And inside our awake, we'll just directly set instance is equals to this. Don't know why do we need it, but let's just use it if we need it. Then afterwards we can change it. Now inside our game manager, it's going to have using Unity engine dot UI. Maybe we'll need the images and also the texts. And let's also have the collections and the generic. Now after that, we are going to have a serialized field which is going to be for the TMP text, and the first one is for our stage text and next is for our level text, and we are going to initialize it, and afterwards we'll have a serialized field for the private image, and first one is for our title image and final one is for our win image. So similarly we need to set both its color depending on what level we are choosing, and let's also create one more serialized field to store our colors. So it's going to be private list of color and we'll just call it colors. And after that, we need our levels dictionary. So it's going to be private level dictionary and we'll just call it level dictionary. And serialized field private cell, and it's going to be our cell prefab, and to store all our cells we are going to store as a vector2 int to a cell, and we are going to rename it to cells dictionary. And it's going to be a new dictionary. We'll directly use new here, so it's going to be initialized, and after that we need to store our current levels. So it's going to be private level current level object. Let's also store its name. So this is going to be our current level name, and finally an integer for our win color. So these are just a couple of variables which are going to use. There are more, but for now we'll just use this one only. So let's now first set our text. So stage text dot text is going to be our stage plus, and if it is initialized, it's going to get from the player prefs dot get int, and we'll get the integer for the constants dot data dot current stage, and we'll convert it to a string. And similarly, it's going to be for our levels text, but instead of current stage, it's going to be current level, and this one is going to be for our level text. So now if we hit play and load our levels, we are able to see both of these objects. And let's also create our public void game restart function and unity engine dot scene management dot scene manager dot load scene 1, and this one is going to be for our back to menu function. And if we assign all of this inside our main menu, we should be able to see the current level and also go back. So we have a level dictionary. We are not spawning the objects right now. This is just going to be for the UI. So we need to uh, add the level or open the level from our main menu. So let's go inside our main menu and let's hit play. So if we open the first level, it's going to show level under slash 1, and we need to attach our both the functions. So back is going to have, let's attach the game manager, and it's going to have game manager does not have the game manager script, and it needs the stage text, the level text, the title image, and the win image, which is going to be, and also inside our levels dictionary it is going to be have the level, and finally our default cell. Now for our restart, we are going to use our game restart function, and for our back we are going to use our back to menu function. Now if we go inside our main menu, uh, currently all the levels are opened up, so it will be a little bit difficult. So stage 1 level 3, let's open stage 6 level 5. So currently all of these levels are like different colored, but mm, we don't have yeah, we don't have the levels stored. So let's see what we can do. So now we are going to instantiate all our levels. And we also need to hide our win image. So win image dot game object dot set active to false. Are we inside Unity editor? No. So we don't need to show the win image at the start, and after that uh, we'll just add the button sound. So audio manager dot instance dot add button sound, and before that we need to spawn a new level, and we also need to set the current game state. So for the input we are going to get it from the game state. So let's also create those variables. So private and let's add a region to it. Hashtag region, and this region is for our game start and our game quit, which is going to be our game functions, and we'll end the region here. Now we need to set the public enum game state, and there are just two states, input and animation, and we will create a private game state and we'll call it current game state. And at the start, our current game state is going to be set to the waiting for input. So our current game state is equals to input, and after that we are going to spawn our levels. So let's create the function for spawning our levels. So we'll need to create one more function, and let's add a region and we'll call it mono game object methods. So here we'll add our update and the awake functions, and then we have the game functions, and we also need a region for our spawner and hashtag and region. And here we'll have a private void on level. So when a level is spawned, it's going to set the target image and instantiate all our cells. So this video is already 30 minutes long, so we'll do the spawning in the next video. We just created the basic template for the level. So it's going to have the cell data and it's going to have the level dictionary, and we also created the cell, which is itself the prefab, and we can like instantiate the cells and set its current color depending on whatever the value we are passing. So that was it for this video. In the next video, we'll create the spawner function and have the game object spawn on the screen. So thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video.